How's it going, folks? It's Super Mr. O'Neill here, and recently I took 2 trips to Toronto, also known as that one place in Canada that Scott Pilgrim took place in, and I went the first time. I saw Mastercraft. I There's this record label. They're called Last Gang Records. They produce such bands as Mastercraft, Crystal Castles, Death from Above, 1979. A lot of EDM music, a lot of punk music, all that stuff. And they had a 10th anniversary show at a club called The Government, and I went to that. And it was DJ sets by Mastercraft, Ethan Catholic, Crystal Castles, Purity Ring, I believe Bear Mountain and all that were there. And that was a good time, and it was pretty awesome. And I went a second time that I just got back from over last weekend. I went with my family, and we saw some Blue Jays games because my dad is a huge Jays fan. And I'm not really the whole sports guy, but I had a good time, and of course, I gotta go buy comics, and I went to 2 stores. The second time I only went to one, but it was one of the ones that I went to on the first time, so yeah. The first time I went to Silver Snail and The Beguiling, and the second time I went back to Silver Snail. If I had my way, I would have went back to The Beguiling, because personally I thought it was the better store. I thought the selection was better, and I thought the layout was better and all that stuff, but I met up with a friend from Ottawa, shout outs to Sarah, and we basically, I didn't have much time before I had to go to the Jays game, and Beguiling wasn't open until 12, and Silver Snail opened at 10, so we had to go to Silver Snail. So, just going to show you what I got. I got a pretty big haul. I'll try to get through it as quickly as I can, but you know me, I have a tendency to ramble on these things, so here goes. Okay, first up, I got a lot of Image books. I just love Image comics, and you can call me an Image fanboy all you want. It's pretty much true at this point. Okay, so first up, Prophet, Volume 3, Brothers, by Brandon Graham, Simon Roy, Giannis Milonogiannis. Prophet is just great. It's an old Rob Liefeld property from the 90s that Brandon Graham revamped with a whole host of artists. There's so many guest artists in Prophet, and it's just awesome. And this is really a precursor to what he intends to do with 8 House, which was unveiled at the Image Expo. And 8 House is just going to be amazing, and I can't wait for that. And Prophet is just really, really good. It's crazy. It's basically like Conan in space. So if you think you'd like that, check it out. Next we have Pretty Deadly Volume 1, The Shrike, by Kelly Sue DeConnick, Emma Rios, and Jordi Belair. Yes, 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 yes. This comic is so fucking good. I read the first issue, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't really care for it. But after seeing the insurmountable amount of hype being given from groups like the Valkyries and all that, I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a better chance, and I'm going to pick up the first trade. And man, was I ever surprised at how good this was. The reason why I didn't really care for it the first time around is I read the first issue, and it's not like your typical first issue. You're left with a lot of questions, and I don't find that there's as much of a hook as there is with a lot of first issues that we're getting now, and I attribute that to being spoiled as a reader. And basically, it's a book that you gotta stick with, and it's just awesome, and I can't wait for more Pretty Deadly. I am definitely going to be getting the second volume when it comes back. I believe it's currently on hiatus, as they do with a lot of Image books. They do an arc, and then they take time for the creative team to just get it done and get it down to a science and recharge the batteries and everything, which is the way it should be done in my opinion. I think that's a much better method to work. But anyway, Pretty Deadly Volume 1, check it out. It's exceptionally well. I also did post a review on my comic review blog on Tumblr. The links will be down for all the books that I've read here that I have reviewed. So, there you go. Next, we have Lost Dogs by Jeff Lemire. This is his first story that he's ever done, his first published work. It was put out in, I think it was '05. Anyway, he put it out in the in the mid 2000s, and it won the Xeric Grant Award, which Peter Laird of Ninja Turtles fame created. It's recently been defunct, and basically what it was is to award grants to up-and-coming cartoonists to self-publish their own work. And this had a very modest print run of, I believe it was 700, or maybe even less, and sold out and all that stuff, and it did really well. And then he went on to do Essex County, and then bigger and better things, as we all know. And Top Shelf republished this, and this is the second printing, I believe. I missed it the first time around. Yeah, second printing. And I'm glad I got a copy of this. It's very rough. It's very raw. It's a good story. It's a very human story. It's a very humanistic story, and it's very sad. Like, have some tissues with you when you read this. Basically, any bit of it's a big pro tip with any of Lemire's stuff. So yeah, Lost Dogs, and again, review down the bottom. Next, we have Manhattan Projects Volume 4 by Jonathan Hickman and Nick Pitara. I love Manhattan Projects. It's this very crazy, out there sci-fi series done through Image. It's just nuts, and it's really awesome, and I don't know. I just don't know what to say about Manhattan Projects other than it's fun and fucking crazy and awesome, and you should be reading it. Next we have Animal Man Volume 3 Deus Ex Machina by Grant Morrison, Chaz Trog, and Doug Hazelwood. And I'm currently reading this, as you can tell, and this is the third and final installment of Grant Morrison's run on Animal Man that he did in the 1980s. And I have to say, it's trippy as fuck. Like, I do know the payoff. I'm not going to spoil it for those who are unaware. And Grant Morrison's my favorite writer, and a lot of people say that this is like his magnum opus, really. Personally, I think All-Star Superman is, but that's just me. And this is just really, really good stuff, and it's just crazy, and it's really the foundation of what you would find later on in Morrison's work. So, check it out. Next we have Paul Pope, Monsters and Titans, original art from the Battling Boy Touring Exhibition. This is basically just scans of original art from Battling Boy, black and white raw art, and it also has throughout it dispersed an interview with Pope in 3 languages, no less, in English, French, and I believe Spanish. Is it Spanish? Let me check. Or maybe that's Italian. I can't. Maybe. Anyway, whatever. It's in this graphic album size thing. Really only get it if you're a huge Paul Pope fan or a big Battling Boy fan. I'm both of those, so there you go. That checks off the boxes there. But even if you're into seeing people's original art and stuff like that, I would recommend it. And it's just pretty cool. I haven't really read much of it yet. I read a few pages here and there. And I can't wait to really dig into this. Next we have Genesis by Nathan Edmondson and Allison Sampson and Jason Wordie. I heard about this. I listened to Allison Sampson on Jim Viscardi's excellent podcast, Let's Talk Comics. I highly recommend anyone listen to it. Basically, the podcast is he gets people on and they talk about how they got into comics, you know, as an art form and an industry as a working stiff. So, and hearing her interview really made me want to read this, and so I picked up a copy at Silver Snail. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was kind of mediocre. Basically, my main problem is with the writing. I thought the artwork was beautiful. I hope Allison Sampson gets a lot more work. Her art is fantastic. I find it's really evocative of early Sandman stuff, notably Mike Dringenberg. And other than that, I thought the story was like it had good themes and ideas in there, but I didn't think they were written well enough, and they weren't fleshed out well enough. I don't think, and yeah. Next, we have some pretty cool steals on the streets of Toronto. Actually, I didn't buy these at a comic store. I bought these on the corner where my hotel was, and I bought the original issues for Grant Morrison's run on Kid Eternity. This is a prestige format series that Morrison did with Duncan Fegredo. I believe in the 90s. Let's see what year this is. 1991. And I've heard a lot about this, and I really want to read it because, I mean, it's Morrison. I want to read as much Morrison as I can. He's my favorite writer. So it was really cool getting the issues for that. And I also got issues 1 through 8 of The Nom, published through Marvel Comics. And didn't even open this yet. And basically what it was is a few of the editors and all that stuff of Marvel Comics worked, or not worked, they served in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War, and they kind of put their experiences into this comic, and it's out of continuity. It has no superheroes or anything like that. Just throughout the 80s, they just randomly did this series, and it was a cult phenomenon. And eventually they did tie it into continuity. They showed that Frank Castle was in fact in the Vietnam War, and they tied that in. But other than that, it had nothing to do with superheroes and capes for the longest while. So, and I got both of those for $20, so you can't go wrong. Next we have The Red Wing, another Jonathan Hickman and Nick Pitarra book. I have issues 1, 2, and 4, 1, 3, and 4. I'm missing one of the issues. I basically only have 3 issues, and I'm missing either 2 or 4. Or 2 or 3, sorry. And this is the first collaboration that they did together, I believe, and it was a 4-issue miniseries that went through Image Comics, and it's about warfare. It's about time travel used as warfare, and basically how that ruins humanity and all that shit, and very interesting stuff, and I can't wait to read it. Next we have Comeback by Ed Brisson, Michael Walsh, and colored by the fantastic Jordi Belair again. I love Michael Walsh's artwork. I think he's incredible. I own 2 pieces of art from the issue of Zero that he drew with Alesh Kott, and just basically let me pitch it to you. Reconnect is more than a company. It's an opportunity for good. Reconnect can reverse tragedy by sending agents into the past to rescue your mother, your wife, your brother, or father, or child moments before their untimely death. Mark is one of these agents. He brings the rescued from the past to the present to a blessed reunion with their loved ones. He saves lives. Or does he? Yeah. Next we have Jan's Atomic Heart and Other Stories by Simon Roy. I like Simon Roy's artwork. He's mostly known for doing Prophet with Brandon Graham and all that. And this is a collection of, I believe, short stories and formally self-published stuff. And yeah, I'm pretty pumped to read this. So next we have The Bulletproof Coffin by David Hine and Shaky Kane. Well, I heard about this from Ghost Critic, and he said some pretty cool things about it, and I saw the trade, and I've never really seen this around anywhere. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to pick this up. It looks very interesting, it looks very cool, and I really can't wait to read this. So, there you go. Next we have Secret by Nick Pitarra and Ryan Bodenheim. What I know about this, I read the first issue. I'm pretty sure I still have it, or I either gave it away or sold it or something, whatever. First issue came out, and then it kind of went, like, it did 2 other issues, and then it just went nowhere. Like, the issues just didn't come out, and people were like, what the fuck, where'd Secret go? And I believe Hickman himself said, like, we're not doing it anymore. And it's just kind of dead in the water. And then they, out of nowhere, they started doing it again this year. And then they released this trade paperback of them all. So I know it deals with like a private security firm or something like that. And either way, it's Jonathan Hickman, so I'm probably going to like it. Next, we have Phonogram Volumes 1 and 2. by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey. I know a little bit about it. I know it deals with a wizard who's powered by Britpop. A lot of people who read Young Avengers really love Gillen and McKelvey's work together. And I always wanted to read this, and I finally picked up a copy of it. And I know it has music as a big theme and all that, and I'm pulling, actually, they've got a new ongoing coming out soon through Image called The Wicked and the Divine, and that's coming out next week, actually, and I'm pulling it because I'm really excited to see how it looks. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that. Next we have, now this is something I'm pretty pumped that I saw, Corto Maltese, The Ballad of the Sea Salt by Hugo Pratt. This is highly influential for a lot of Franco-Belgian comic creators, American creators as well. I know Joe Keating says that this is his favorite book. I know Paul Pope is very inspired by Hugo Pratt's art style, and flipping through it, it looks amazing. I don't know much about it, admittedly, but I know it has this huge reference within the comic scene, and you know, people say as far as European comics go, like, this is one of the contenders. I know, like, people say the Incal, which I own and I love, and I really want to get into more Johtoverse stuff. And I know people say Tintin as well, and other stuff like that, so I can't wait to read this. And finally, we have Zot by Scott McCloud. Scott McCloud is very notable for doing his comics trilogy, which is Understanding Comics, Reinventing Comics, and Making Comics. Those are seen as pretty much the best scholarly writings on comic books as a medium. And I've never read them yet. I'm going to get around to that. I really want to read Understanding Comics. I want to read all of them, let's face it. And it's, you know, people always say, like, if you're going to get into comics as a profession, you should definitely read those books because they're very helpful and helping you understand, like, what makes a comic work and all that shit. And he had his own series for the longest while, from 1987 to 1991, before he did the Understanding Comics. That was the first one. And basically, I don't know much about it. I think it deals with time travel and stuff like that, and like superheroes and all that. On the back here it says, 20 years ago, American and Japanese storytelling collided in a single comic. And knowing McCloud and knowing how he goes through tropes of storytelling and all that stuff, I'm very interested to see what he does in his own comic. I've read some of his digital stuff. I can't remember the name of the story, but it was about, like, some guy found this method of bonding with people based on, like, phone numbers and area codes or something like that. And it was a very interesting story. It was weird, but it was very interesting, and I believe it's up for free on his website. So I'm very interested to read this. I'm very keen on it, and I don't know how many pages. It's like 500 some pages. I love buying thick books, even though sometimes I will never finish them, but hey, there you go. Oop, the trades nearly fell. So that's all I bought. Thanks for watching. I'm broke as fuck. It's just what I want to say. I had amazing trips. I love Toronto. I hope I get back there soon. I love Toronto. It's a great place. And for those of you watching who've never been, please give it a visit. It's a beautiful place. And yeah, they also got a crack smoking mayor, so there you go.